I'm Carson.
I'm Holden.
And I'm Olivia.
And we're the voice of young conservatives in Alachua County. Today, we're going to be talking about the murder of the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, Brian Thompson. This has been big online. It is I feel like it's almost bridged the gap between the right and the left. There's a lot of people who are celebrating this guy's murder. So I just want to start off by saying, nobody here condones murder. This is terrible. It is terrible that he was murdered. And I think anyone who is saying otherwise, get a grip, okay? Just because you do not support the policies of a company or the policies of your government does not mean it condones the ending of a life. That being said, I think there's a broader conversation to be had about the healthcare system. So if you guys want to share your opinion.
Well, I don't know much about people I don't know much about him being killed because of the healthcare system. I know there was details that he was doing insider trading of about $15 million. Obviously, the assassin, knew what they were doing. It was a very targeted attack. They also knew that he wasn't going to have security the day that he got shot, which is pretty rare because he always had security with him because he's, a rich guy and, people know him, his face and, about healthcare. People get really mad about that. In July, it did say that outside their headquarters there were protests about some healthcare policy that he passed. People were denied claims, and a lot of money was, lost for them and gained for him. But they're not quite sure if that correlated with the shooting and the attack. So there's not enough information out about why he got killed.
Yeah, and I think this was I think UnitedHealthcare actually has the highest profit margins of all of the healthcare companies. I think that probably had part to do with it. I think they also have the highest claim denial rate. And so they're kind of infamous among healthcare companies, or healthcare insurance companies. So I think that's why probably all contributed to why they were the target. With that being said, Holden, can you tell us about any of the rot or the poor government policy in our healthcare system?
When it comes to health insurance, I guess Medicaid, it would be a big one, and Obamacare. So insurance companies can't deny people with pre-existing conditions. But in the free market, you have to discriminate. That's the only way you could have a legitimate business model. I discriminated against customers that don't have money, right? I discriminate. If I'm an insurance company, I'm going to discriminate against you if you get drunk every night and you're 16 years old and you're asking for car insurance. That's how I run a business. So it was a horrible part of the Affordable Care Act. That makes the insurance industry is very heavily regulated when it comes to healthcare. So it makes it so that low cost competitors can't get into the marketplace, even though they should be able to. So that keeps it. That keeps the big insurance companies like that. They like it when they have a bunch of regulations so that low cost competition can't come in. Medicaid is a huge line item in the federal budget every year. So it costs the taxpayers hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars annually. And so, those are just a few ways that healthcare makes it artificially more expensive than it should be.
Yeah. I think
or health insurance too.
A big part of it. I think also something that's often understated is that all of these different healthcare policies and the Affordable Care Act and Medicaid and Medicare, they make it so only certain healthcare companies can actually provide insurance. And it kind of eliminates all competition in the market, which is always a problem when you're talking about a system that's supposed to be a free market. The least regulated and, obviously the least regulated parts of the healthcare industry, specifically cosmetic surgery, are actually the ones that have experienced the lowest rates of inflation and, on occasion, deflation. And paired with that, when the government creates a monopoly, obviously you're going to have that monopoly or, those groups of companies that are propped up by the government to stifle their competition. You're going to see them artificially raise prices and engage in business practices that are poor for the consumer.
I agree with your point, especially about Medicaid and the taxes issue for the public and the government subsidies. And it's interesting that you brought up Obamacare and Medicaid because this guy, the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, was a main proponent of it, and he really pushed Obamacare and Medicaid policies. Yeah, exactly. And they brought that up in a Wall Street Journal article that I was reading about the whole incident. And like you were saying, how like the consumers are the ones who suffer. And thinking back to the attack, you know, someone who had a family member who was like a patient and they were using UnitedHealthcare, you know, who possibly died, I could see it being very feasible that they went out and, you know, targeted him.
Yeah, certainly something like that would have an emotional impact on someone. And it just speaks to the fact that these government policies are always going to create rot in these systems. They're never going to help the people that they claim to help because, of course, if you're working class, which is what these programs are meant to help, the people who these programs are meant to help, obviously you're going to suffer when your claim is denied. And that's what these systems do, is they prop up businesses that are more prone to denying claims. They're more... You know, they don't have to work within a free market. They don't have to compete with other companies because the government props them up and them up specifically. Any thoughts, Holden?
The Health and Human Services is the largest department in government when it comes to just sheer amount of budget. I think it's surpassing $2 trillion a year now. So Medicare and Medicaid are together the largest line items. Separately, it would be Social Security. But yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. They're spending trillions and trillions of dollars a year on that. I mean, the government is just so heavily involved in healthcare. Unfortunately, it's like that basically in every country, if not completely outright. So that's the government's just. I mean, the thing is, they just don't trust markets to work and function. And whenever you have it set up where it's regulated the way it is, the prices aren't falling the way they're supposed to. The productivity isn't increasing the way it's supposed to. Like in technology, if you look at like for each dollar of computing power you could buy per year, $1 of money will buy more computing power in a year from now and 5 years from now and the like, or you know, on and on. So it's not like that as much in healthcare because of just it's insanely regulated. I think it's the second, if not first, highest regulated industry.
I think it's only behind airlines.
Airlines is fourth.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I think it's fourth. But I mean, or actually, it may be fifth. But regardless, healthcare is insanely regulated. So it's very hard with the FDA. I mean, it's very much you got to have some political friends if you want to be successful for a lot of it.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's how this guy got himself in trouble, especially with the detail of the insider trading of $15 million. Because when I first heard about the attack, I immediately thought it was like way too targeted. The person, I don't think that assassin who shot him had anything to do with it. I think they were probably like hired because the guy knew exactly what he was doing. He had like a silencer. The gun got jammed, but he knew how to immediately like unjam it. However, you know, I don't know like the jargon for that, but he knew how to like correct that like very quickly. People reviewed the footage who are like former military, and they said that the way that he behaved and how he did it with ease, like the guy who did it definitely knew what he was doing. So, you know, speaking to like having political friends, this guy definitely is an example of that, and it's just kind of like a product of what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I think I've seen a lot of people online now say this is why we need Medicare for all. It's because when you have all these people denying claims, you know, people end up in bad spots. Healthcare is a human right, whatever, all this stuff. Obviously, nothing that involves the labor of another person can be a human right, but that's beyond the point. There's clearly people are fed up with the current system. The problem is the amount of government intrusion on this industry. It is not that we need to go in and add more government intrusion and make it more governmentally corrupted, because it's completely corrupt. All of the problems can be traced back, like I said earlier, cosmetic surgery is the least regulated part of the healthcare industry. It is one of the only sectors of the healthcare industry, if not the only one, that is not covered by health insurance. We can all bridge the gap here. It's very clear. The government is the problem. Does anyone have any closing thoughts?
I really liked your comment about how the government doesn't trust free markets. I think that's a concept that a lot of people don't think about, but it's very prevalent.
Yeah, they never will. Abolish the state.
And with that being said, thank you everyone for watching. We really appreciate it. We upload 3 times a week, and feel free to reach out to us at youthbombs@alachua.republicans.com. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Take care.